Hi everyone. This class is going to be all about building strength and awareness in our bodies from the ground up. So this is going to be focusing on exercises for mobility, strength, and coordination in our feet. So you won't need any props today, but I would suggest maybe being near a wall if you feel like you want some balance support when we get to the standing portion of class. And for this first section, depending on how, what restrictions you might have in your hips, you may feel comfortable sitting on a chair, but you could also take it to the floor. So we'll start out with the right leg just extending out in front of us and then crossing the outside of the left ankle over top. We're gonna then take our right hand and thread the fingers through each of the toes. And then just find a gentle clasp of the hand in, like you were holding hands with your own foot. You can take the opposite hand and just place it somewhere around the shin area just to give your shin a little bit of steadying. We're going to start by just circling that foot up and around. Again, trying to keep the shin fairly stable, feeling some nice spread through the toes. We'll spread through that midfoot. A nice mobilization of that ankle. Okay. And as we're circling around, we might come up against some sticky spots or some areas that have restriction. Just move through those with care, move through them mindfully, just kind of clearing out the cobwebs deep within our ankles. And then we're going to go the other way. Maybe seeing if you can kind of almost think of spreading your fingers out just a little bit within your toes if you want a deeper stretch in this position. Good. For 2. And then from here, we're going to just start to let go of that clasp. You're going to hold on to the outer 4 toes with that same hand and just gently kind of pull the toes back. Then you're going to start to reach the big toe forward and then pull it back in. Okay, just finding this beautiful extension of the big toe. Right? Such an important joint in the body. That we want to make sure is mobile and functioning well. Right? So this is a great place to start. And seeing if you can just move that big toe in isolation to the rest of the toes. That right away can be a huge challenge. So don't be frustrated if you feel like your other toes are absolutely wanting to come along for the ride. Let's see if you can hold them back with your fingers and get this nice spread between big toe and second toe. Perfect. Now we'll hold the big toe steady. You're going to send the other 4 toes forward and back. And as you're sending them forward and back, you're trying to find a little bit of a spread, or as much as you can, right? So seeing if you can kind of wing that pinky toe towards the floor and then back in. Okay. And again, no judgment of our feet if this feels next to impossible, right? We all have all sorts of things going on in our toes, in the joints of our feet, and it's not your fault. It's due to footwork that was not designed in a functional manner, right? Feet have been compressed for many, many years, so just be patient with yourself as you're working through these movements. All right, we're gonna take that right hand and just form a soft fist. We're just gonna do a little stimulating for the bottom of the foot. So you're just basically gonna scrape your knuckles along the sole of the foot, getting up into the ball of the foot, near the toes, coming towards the midfoot, in the inner arch, and the heel. And just applying as much pressure as feels good for you right now. Nice. Just a little more time on this foot, maybe outer arch as well if that feels a little disconnected. Cool. And then we'll switch it out. Right? You can cross that right ankle over your left thigh. And here we go. We're going to take that left hand, go ahead and bring the fingers through each of the toes, kind of pull in, and then just start again with that circle. We'll go up and around, steadying that shin with your opposite hand, just so that we're not borrowing extra motion from the lower leg. See if we can find kind of maximum articulation through the foot, through the ankle right now, just for now. Yeah, really being mindful. And then we go the other way, big circles around. Yeah, maybe getting deeper into the spaces between the toes with the hands if you want a more intense stretch. And last two. Nice. And then from there, we're going to hold onto the outer four toes, just gently curling the toes in. And then you're going to reach the big toe forward and pull it back in. Yeah. And just noticing, right? Obviously, the hand is kind of holding your other toes back, but just taking a little inventory. If your hand wasn't there, would you be able to still do this motion? This side's a little tricky for me personally. This side I feel like has a little less awareness, so you may feel one foot is a little more coordinated than the other. Very normal to have these natural imbalances in our body, but just becoming more aware of them throughout this practice. Okay, hold the big toe now and then just see outer four toes. Can we bring them forward and back? Right, maybe trying to find a little more spread as you come forward. As you can see, maybe my pinky toe doesn't like to spread on this side. And that has, translated up into my glute med on this right side. So just a little tidbit on how the feet kind of start the chain up the rest of our bodies. So yeah, a lot of fascial connections down here. And you may notice a lot of change in a positive way by just simply restoring the function of your feet up into your knees, your hips, your spine, right? Endless benefits here. Okay, cool. We're going to take that soft fist and go ahead and gently rub the bottom of the foot. And just finding any tender spots, any spots that feel numb or disconnected. Okay, just using your intuition. You'll kind of know where it feels good to apply some pressure. Yeah. Good. Just a few more seconds here. Amazing. And relax. Now, I just want you to send the feet out in front of you. Again, if you're still up in the chair, it's going to be the same thing. Your knees will just be a little bent. You can have your hands come back if you're on the floor. I just want you to look at your feet for now and see if you can just find a little bit of a flex. I want you to start to pull the big toes towards center and then let them release back. Big toes coming towards center, right? A little adduction in our big toes. If that feels impossible to isolate, not a problem. You can bend your knees. You can use your fingers to kind of guide the toes inward and back out, right? But eventually you want to try to get to a place where you could find this little bit of adduction and maybe even hold it. And you'll notice some stuff, engagement, lighting up in that inner big toe and the innermost arch of your foot. Right? Really important things happening in there. Okay? We want strength. This is also great for preventing things like bunions, hammer toes, right? Any of those other kind of foot pathologies. Yeah, so important to get this nice space between first and second toe and build the strength. Kind of keep it there. Okay, last time. Good. And then from here, we're going to take it up to standing. And I want you to just find a position with your feet roughly hip width distance apart. And this is where, again, you could be at your wall or just holding something for balance. I want you to first just notice where you are mostly weighted right now. So my personal tendency is to be kind of back in the heels, right? For some people, it's a little bit more into the toes. I want you to just start to find this place in the middle where you feel like the center of your pelvis kind of over the highest point in your arches, right? The highest point, the arch of your foot. Just kind of live there and see if that starts to maybe change the way that your muscles just naturally engage while you're standing, right? You might notice when you shift your pelvis over the arches that you start to feel a little bit of hamstrings kind of joining the party. You might feel just a little bit more lifted overall throughout your center. Right? Again, just noticing that we want to sort of live in this stack while we do these next exercises. So from here, we're gonna roll in towards the big toes. So I want you to feel this little rolling in towards the inner arch. You're gonna roll out towards the outer arch. As you roll in and out, I want you to try to keep all of the knuckles of your toes, essentially, those metatarsals, connected to the floor. So when we roll in, we're trying not to let the pinky toes lift up, and when we roll out, we're trying not to let the big toes lift up. Try to maintain that connection, just feeling the foot spreading as wide into the floor as possible, almost like your feet were melting down like a pancake batter, right? Just splaying out in all directions. Cool. Now, the next time we roll in towards that big toe, you're going to start to peel the heels up off the floor, arriving to just a releve position. And then when you get to the top there, you're going to roll towards the pinky toe knuckle without losing that big toe. You're going to roll down the outer blade of the foot. And we'll repeat that. So we roll inward, we peel up, we roll out, we push down. And you can see when you start to lose any of those little knuckles of your foot, it'll be obvious. You'll feel either your big toe or your pinky toe lifting. But it's like we're making these little rainbow arcs in the feet, right? Great way to mobilize and move through the many, many joints that live in our feet. So there's a lot of different like rotational capacities inside the feet that again are often very limited due to our shoes and our lack of just awareness of how much we need to actually be moving our feet and being barefoot and all the things. Okay, amazing. We're going to come down and then we're going to reverse that. Think of going out towards the pinky knuckles first, roll up the outer blade of the foot, roll in towards the big toes, and come down. Yeah, so you'll notice again, maybe at the top it's difficult to roll in without losing that pinky toe. That is certainly the case for myself, so we're all in the same boat if that's happening for you too. Okay, 2 more here. Rolling up the outer blade, rolling in at the top. Last one. Beautiful. Okay, relax for a sec. Just shake it out. I want you to just, I'm going to turn to the side so you can see a little better, but I want you to step your left foot forward and your right foot is going to be back behind you. Nothing too major, right? We don't need a huge stance here, just kind of a moderate stance with your heel slightly lifted. And what I want you to do is find a nice wide front foot, right? Allow your front shin to come forward a little bit so you feel like you're really loading that left foot. And we've got weight towards the front of the foot, towards the back of the foot. We've got some pressure there. And I want you to try to find that. And then what we're going to do is send the back heel down towards the floor, finding this nice stretch through the calf. When you come up, I want you to imagine that your heel was stuck to something super, super sticky, and you are going to peel that heel up with the most resistance of your life as you press that knuckle of your big toe down into the floor. And then you're going to swoosh that heel back, moving through imaginary, honey, right? And then again, we pretend that heel is stuck to the floor, and we're pulling it up with so much strong resistance, and then we're pushing it back down. So this is very different than just kind of doing this, right? Where we don't have any engagement really in the deep intrinsic muscles of our foot. This is pushing down. Heel is peeling up, the ball of the foot is pushing into the floor like you were pressing down on a gas pedal. I want you to move with enough resistance that you get some deep stuff happening, like the deepest layers of your calf. Yeah. One more. Push, 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 push. And squeeze it back. Awesome. We'll take that on the other side. So right foot's going to come forward, left foot's going to come back. We're going to load that front foot, get your shin forward, get your weight on the right foot. You're going to then press the heel back. We're going to push the ball of the foot down. Even right here, before your heel even goes up, I want you to push the ball of the foot down so much that you already start to grab onto some calf engagement. And then heel is pulling up off of the stickiest floor ever. And then you're pushing it back with that same amount of resistance. Okay. Push the ball of the foot down, drag the heel up. Right? You want to almost like create this challenge in your own body, create this resistance from within. If those visuals are not maybe clicking for you, you could even think of like a super heavy weight attached to the bottom of your heel somehow, and you're pulling that weight up. Yeah. So the point is to find this lifting of the heel while strengthening deep, deep, deep inside of the foot, the deepest layers of the foot. Right? We can all just sort of skip that step and just sort of like push the talus forward, push the front of the ankle forward, and just kind of pop up to an arch position without ever really building that deep strength to get there. So like I've said in other videos on here, the work is really, really valuable in the in-between parts of the movement. So not at the start position, not at the end range, but all the stuff in between. I want you to build strength through that whole middle section of the movement, right? No rush to get to those end ranges anymore. All right, last time, push, push down, peel the heel up, load that front foot, and then just relax forward. All right, this is a great introduction to the feet, right? If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll see you next time.